termination of a tornado, those things don't happen. So, however you get your warnings, you can sleep a lot better knowing that that decision will be made a lot faster and you'll have more time to react.
In Durant for the 4.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right there.
In front of you. Yeah, there's, keep going. There's two handouts in front.
Oh, and here's the extra packet I brought.
I have a roll call.
Okay. Trustee Anthony here. Trustee Calhoun? Should I go ahead and mark him here or wait?
I'll wait till he's supposed to be.
Okay, I'll wait. Trustee Shattuck?
Here.
Trustee Thorpe? Trustee Walker? Vice Chairman Reed?
Here.
Chairman Shear?
Here. All right, we've got that done. This is the 31st of May meeting for the Durant Tourism Economic Development Authority. It is 3:05 p.m. Minutes of the April 26th meeting. Any discussion?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Debbie?
Trustee Anthony, yes. Trustee Calhoun? Oh. Trustee Shattuck?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe? Trustee Walker?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Reed?
Abstain. I wasn't here.
Chairman Shear?
Yes. All right, the money report. It all revolves around money.
Danny, could I take just a second to introduce Jeremy Spence? You guys have met him, but he will be taking the place that Jennifer normally had. She's gone. She has taken a position with the Fusion Bible Church. She will be doing their children's ministry. And so we're thrilled to death for her. We had to lose her. But Jeremy will be taking her position
Thank
with
you.
the Tourism Board.
Anyway, it all revolves around money, so we have
Yeah, if
a
you-
money report.
If you, we're going to, we have one, but we're going to make some changes, so don't pay much attention to it. It's the best thing I can say. How about that? So please forgive me, but we'll have this really cleaned up for next month. The funds balance estimation sheet for 4/30. It's in your packet, but again, I've got to make some adjustments to this to make it the way I want it. So please know that we'll be better next month than we were this month. We did have a very good month. If you look at your packet, page 11, you'll see that revenues for May were up substantially. I assume that's for May, right? We already got those numbers out, so that's really
Yeah,
good. So.
I'm not sure, I don't think that actually corresponds. I think that's when we receive the money.
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
sure. I've tried to get an answer on this.
Well, that's the first time I've seen it come out in the month that we're currently in. So it was, I saw it there, but
Too behind.
if this is truly May, then we had a good jump there. So it
I
does
think-
correspond well with last year.
I think, Jeff, actually, that's 2 months behind.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's just what they're posting.
2
But
months,
anyways,
because you collect it, you get it in by the 15th, you turn in the report and the money by the 15th. Then the city receives it the next month with the report. So I think it's actually
yeah,
2 months.
and that's probably the case. It does coincide with the same month last year. So it does look well anyway. So that's, at this point, all I have for just a few minutes, I think.
Okay. We have a budget for 22-23. How about any discussion on it? That's on, where is it?
What page is the budget on?
It's page 13
Yeah.
where it starts.
And Jeremy, if you'll walk through anything on there you see that's maybe different. I know we discussed it with Jennifer and Janet.
This was taken off, the total amount, Jeff, was taken off of our expenditures
Yeah.
for this year. What we could estimate and what was also left in the budget. And that's kind of how we calculated everything that we did from that point forward.
I think the only variation would have been the management fee that was only implemented at the very beginning of this year for contract labor.
What were you saying about the contract labor?
As far as, I believe, budget from last year to this year, that was the only variation that stood out, but again, I'm not looking at any other advertising or marketing purchase throughout the year.
Advertising was, we budgeted last year 65,000. We haven't spent near that much this year, so I think you left it at, you guys left it at 65,000.
We did.
Contract labor, of course, changes were made halfway through the year, so that's at 162,000, which coincides with the updated contract with the chamber. Legal fees, no change. Promotion and advertising, a little bit of an uptick from 173,000 budget last year to 180 this year. A little bit less on event boards. Conference shows is less this year, or proposed for this year. Grants, we budgeted 125,000 last year, and this year we have budgeted, our prospective budget 120,000, so just a little less. I think we want to put money in other things, I think. The proposal that's going to be happening for with the city is not in there because we just don't have those numbers. The numbers weren't available at this time. So we will have to go back and adjust the budget based on that if we decide to go forward with that.
We don't have this even close to itemizing this, do we? We just group all of it together.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually taken
mean-
off of the expenses.
Yeah.
And the income
Yeah.
that we have for the prior year.
Yeah.
And that's how you line item it, is basically based upon what we did the previous year.
Yeah.
So in that respect, Jim, it is line item.
Yeah,
Just
I
not
like
on
it
this.
more so here,
Yeah,
since we're getting
just not on
the
this.
going every year. I just like it better like that, so just for the material supplies, maintenance, and all it is, just have it itemized, so we can see it more.
Where do we have the money we're giving to the city for,
It's not in there.
It's not part of this yet.
okay,
That will have to be added.
And this is a standard format that Ann uses for it. So, I mean, if we need to do something additional, we could.
Does the city treasurer do this for us?
Ann, yes, Ann sends us the numbers that we work with as well.
But she does it with a system that they've got in the city, which is, at least to my simple mind, is a little confusing at times.
Mine too. Mine too.
I'll make a
I
motion.
sure would like to see us get what you were talking about, where we can look at it and
When you do a yearly budget, I like to see, I know it's right, or, something, is put down wrong, but I like to see everything itemized, that's what I do. I do it, I'll tell, I like it here too.
I do
like to
too.
see it.
Well, we could just use the funds balance
I
estimation.
started to say, this is given on a monthly basis, and the
But-
totals is what we
But
have.
we could just draw up whatever was in each one of these line items of what were budgeted, more on this line item. Would that be good for you?
Well, this is just a yearly budget, and that's what I like, all of it put down there, instead of looking at a line item and on a monthly.
Yeah, like if we put the full yearly amount we were gonna budget next to these line items, that might separate it enough for you, you think?
It would be a lot better than this.
Now, some of them we,
Okay, so recommendation to,
Just itemize it more, I mean, you know, when we get ready to make a budget, I like to have it itemized.
We can work on it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
we
think
can-
we need
we can
to,
work on it.
if this budget works for everybody, we need to go ahead.
yeah, the
For
way to-
purposes of this committee, we need to approve the budget, and then we can certainly look at or breaking it down a little bit farther, and see what it looks like next month.
I just know if it's a bank like you're in, this thing wouldn't get past first base.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you at all. I'm probably the person in this room that likes this the least, so but, you know, it is what it is. At this point, we're dealing with things outside of our control
As
to a point.
request, since I'll probably be going and grabbing this stuff, would an itemization look okay if we put down the annual expenses for those? Because some of these, when you're doing a budget, I mean, we even have a concert series that has marketing or promotional purchases that we're not aware of. I can't line item that, I can't project every line item we're gonna need to project, that's gonna substantiate that budget. But if we get like the revolving costs and itemize those for each of these accounts, and at least identify which accounts we have expenses out of to give a frame of reference, but some of those things, you can't project the line item it's gonna go into.
You won't project the line item exactly, but you can project within a few dollars of what you get.
Yeah.
I think just tweaking the one that we've got, Jeff, just
Yeah.
a little bit, and putting the encumbered funds maybe out beside it, or even denoting which account we're taking it out of, that might help.
Yeah.
You want more detail on the heavy hitters, the ones that are gonna cost the most, and here's where the money's going to, like a concert series or something like that. That's what you're wanting to see, correct?
Yeah, it would be good, because, you know, you got city councilmen and city managers here, they can look at this too. They might see something.
But I need to know what you wanna see though, because I gotta prepare for you. Like, what is it you wanna see on there?
I don't think it'll be fair just for me, it'll be fair for everybody. I just need to know, you know, putting all this together on materials, supplies, maintenance, tools, all of this stuff, you know, I don't know if most of it is tools or maintenance or whatever. I just need it sort of itemized.
Okay.
We'll work on it.
Well, and I agree with him. I think we ought to be able to look at it, because I don't know any of us up here, except maybe Janet, because she's involved in it, are gonna know that when we look at one that just covers an area like, you know, just one area, and it's a gross number that you got there, it's expenditures. We don't know what happened.
I think maybe it might help next year if and we did start on this 2 months ago with Ann, and because they had to get it back to city council to approve. But I think maybe it might help if we showed the accruement of what we are taking those numbers from, because this is the way she needs it back for her budget. But maybe if we did a self-explanatory of what was included in that, if we could break that down a little bit more, which would be easy to do because we could take it from the initial funds thing that we do on a monthly basis. So if we could do that, I think it would help to see.
Like I said a while ago, it's hard for me to follow anything with the cities.
Right.
And I know if I got trained, I could do it, but
Yeah. Well, and this is a new accounting system too, that we're having to not relearn, but just understand where the accounts are and everything, and Ann's
Okay,
helping
it
us
looks
with
different.
that.
It looks, this month looks different.
It does.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah,
it's
they
more
just-
self-explanatory than it's been.
But they just implemented this the month prior, so this is only
Right.
their second month using the same system as well. So there's a lot of learning curves for everybody.
I'll make a motion that we approve the attached budget for 22-23 fiscal year.
I'll second it.
All right. Call for vote.
Trustee Anthony, yes. Trustee Calhoun?
Is this what you're,
Yes, this is the budget, this proposal right here, this column right here. And you can see what it was last year and how it changes.
yeah,
But anyways,
and
that's,
how does this sheet,
this one is the, I believe,
this is for the fiscal year of 21, 22.
What page, what number are you on, Jeff?
he's looking at page 15, I think. Yeah. So that's just the budget, the proposed
It says-
budget is.
It says page 54 right here.
Yeah, 54, 55, 53, 54, 55 is what the entire budget is. Page 53 showing revenues, what they project, and then 54 being the kind of the main part of the expense side of the budget, showing your beginning balance, showing your proposed revenues of 450,000, total revenue department of 890,000, based off of 805,000 last year, beginning of last year, based off of the major change being the contract labor that went up with the Chamber of Commerce handling our day-to-day operations. And then you can see again below a little bit where expenses either stayed the same, somewhat of a change. This does not have, Charlie, I don't know if you were in here at the time, it has nothing in it right now that has to do with the proposal coming up with the city on the
I heard
upgrades.
that. I
Okay, you
can't-
did, okay. And so,
Can you explain to me this line?
fund reserve, I would assume,
How is that determined?
I have no
See,
idea.
this was a fund reserve from last year,
Yeah, it's a
but-
question I can't answer.
but it's increased.
Yeah. Which to me says that we will start out with more money than we started out with last year, but I have no earthly
But
idea
if
if
we
that's the correct
vote on
statement.
this is the number we're gonna vote on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're voting on this number right here, 890,000,
And these numbers.
and with those numbers involved, yes, correct.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we all see what you're talking about,
Yes.
but I don't know how to explain it to you, Charlie.
I don't know how we got there from here.
Yeah, I don't know how it seems to be falling on me, but.
Doesn't seem like we're spending as much as we're taking in.
Yeah, we're going
Which is a
to, I have
good
no doubt
thing.
about that, but at this point,
That's a
Charlie,
good
I don't
thing.
know how to answer your question.
I still don't know how we got there, and that's a bad thing if
Okay.
you can't read it.
Well, that's what, on our month-to-month,
Even if it is a good number, I don't know enough about it to know.
get
whether
there.
it's a good number.
Okay, Charlie, on these that we do on a month-to-month basis, that's when we started, Jeff started, yeah, we started preparing this, so we would have a month-to-month, the total number of expense and revenue that we bring in. Also, if you look, the encumbered amount is the amount that we have already encumbered through our budget.
Yep. Which is,
Through the budget that was passed, or will be
What-
passed.
Well, this was based on what we passed last year.
Last year.
Okay.
That will be based on what we do this coming year.
yeah.
Well, I understand what it's supposed to be done, but, you know, if you just handed that to me, I may be the only one.
Well, that's why we tried to simplify it. When you asked Jeff to do something that would basically show a line item on everything, and that's what this is. This was created for. Thank you. And Chin's gonna come.
And come.
Well, that won't help me.
It won't help you, okay? Okay. Danny, we still got a motion on the floor.
Yeah, it's been seconded to call, so.
So I guess we need to continue roll
Or
call.
we're gonna wait for Ann to get here and explain it. What do we do?
I mean, I know what it's supposed to be, but
Okay.
I can't get there with the numbers that I've got.
Well, are you comfortable doing it for this coming year with what we have, or do you want?
No.
Here's Ann. Maybe Ann can explain it a little bit better.
She's here now.
This is what they're looking at, so you can.
Yes, I have it.
Oh, perfect.
So,
Thank you, Ann.
this is the one that Jennifer sent it to me.
Right.
Yeah, mhm.
Right.
So,
And it was based on the figures that we had from
Yes.
21, 22.
yeah, all the expenditure is from her, and then the projecting the revenue is also from her too, so I don't know. Any question
The
that you
question
have?
for you, Ann, is on page,
Is it the fund reserve?
yes, what's the fund reserve on page
That, okay.
15? Where does that number come from?
Yeah.
That is the one that, okay, you will see the beginning balance. This is the beginning balance, and then after all the expense that we allocate to the different GL, that is remaining available fund, put it into a reserve. So if next year that you have all of a sudden say, okay, I want to, I don't know, set up something, and then this is the money that you can use.
So that'll be money left over after the expenses take place that we have budgeted,
That's unencumbered funds,
unencumbered.
correct?
Not encumbered fund, it's a fund that not assigned for the purpose.
Okay.
Okay.
So next year, if you have extra project you want to do.
We're going
and
to.
That is yes, that is the money that you
Have
are
available. Okay.
Yes, mhm.
Does that help you?
Does that help, Charlie?
Well, I know what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get there from the numbers that I've got. That's my problem. And I guess I just don't know where to look for them.
Would it help, Charlie, if next month, when we sit down to prepare this sheet, which is the final thing, to show you how we pull what Ann sends us, the financial statement, and we put it to this summary that we do? Would that help?
Well, I'd have to see it.
Okay, okay. Well,
14.
when we get ready to sit down and do that, we'll give you a call, and hopefully, we can sit down and try to explain how we pull those numbers and do it to this summary sheet for you, okay?
Yeah, we'll give it a try, I hope.
Okay.
4,
All right, can we vote now?
Okay.
72
Trustee Anthony, yes. Trustee Calhoun?
minus.
I'm gonna have to abstain because I don't understand it.
Trustee Shattuck?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
I'll abstain until we find out.
Trustee Walker?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Chairman Shear?
Yes. All right. That brings us to number 4. This is a good one. Where did this come from? Possible action in requesting a forensic audit by the Oklahoma State Auditor and Inspector.
Our city manager requested that we put that on the agenda.
The council voted to have a forensic audit conducted with the council over the general fund, the utility authority, the development authority, and the airport authority. For everybody to be included in the audit, each entity has to vote to be part of it. The DIA has voted to not be part of it. The DCFA voted to not be part of it. So it was, the council approved it on a 3-1 vote. So
When was this voted on?
it was voted on in April
At the regular meeting?
at the special meeting.
Oh,
No, sir.
okay, the budget workshop?
Yes, sir.
Was that on the agenda?
Yes, sir. It was.
I wasn't there.
Yes, sir.
I would have voted no.
Yes, sir.
It was voted, what was it voted at city council again?
3-1.
3-1, and then DIA was, I can tell, I think it's open meeting, I can say this, correct, that how we voted?
Yes, sir.
Or we didn't vote. It was brought to, up for vote and did not get a second.
That's correct.
And so that's where that one, it died at that. So that's how DIA technically didn't bring it up to
Correct.
vote. So we disagreed with it. So
Well, who wants a forensic audit?
The 3 council members that voted for it were Mayor Gruby, Councilman Miller, and Councilman Morris.
Do they have any idea how much time and money and resources that will take?
Yeah, the estimated cost is between $30,000 and $60,000, so.
If it's a good, it'll be more than that. We've been through this before. It runs into 6 digits. Besides
I'll make a
the take time.
I'll make a motion that this board, this trust, not be involved in it.
I second that.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now we're voting to not
Who
be
seconded that? I'm
involved.
sorry, I missed that.
Jeff did.
I did.
Jeff
Jeff
seconded.
did.
Trustee Anthony, yes. Trustee Calhoun?
Yes.
Trustee Shattuck?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Trustee Walker?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Chairman Shear?
Yes.
So most, the DIA voted against it too, right?
Yeah, essentially. A non-vote, we didn't get a second to vote for it, so.
There was another trust too, that might be.
What would be the I'm sorry, I'm kind of ignorant about this part of it. What are the pros of us even wanting them? I mean, why would our board spend that much money? I don't-
If you feel like if money's missing, something like that.
Oh, I got you.
It's very detailed. If they do a good one, it's very, very detailed, very time consuming.
Money wasted.
Well, this is above and beyond the quarterly audit.
Last one ago on.
Oh, yeah, this
If some of this,
you're talking about.
$500 or $10,000.
Don't say that might avoid us. Yeah, so that would avoid us having to do something like that. It's true.
Somebody doesn't know anything, they use the word forensic.
This is sales tax
Forensic.
money.
Yeah, oh, I get that.
Yeah.
Pretty detailed.
Okay, that was voted down, good. All right. We've got a contract with the city of Durant for the beautification of the 6975 corridor. We've signed the memorandum of agreement. John, would you like to give us kind of a report of where we stand?
Jason is the reporter. I'll give you a report. So John sent me the numbers on what the city thinks it will cost them to maintain it. There's a labor component and a materials and equipment component in that. So I have an outline of a contract that I need to fill in with some specific terms, like we want to beautify the 6975 corridor. We want them to mow the clover leaf and the medians to a certain point. There is a concrete median on the entrance ramps that is getting overgrown with grass and weeds. Do we need to include a portion in there where they're going to weed eat that also? I know we've talked about having them seed it with ryegrass, is that the one that we want put there in the winter so that it's still green? Okay, I don't know the different grasses that grow. Some kind of grass there that will be growing in the winter. So I need to know how much you guys think you want to give them to do it. I know how much they think it's going to cost, and
Do they know
some,
approximately how much it's gonna cost?
$126,773.25.
Could,
But a good portion of that is materials and equipment.
Jason,
I think the
could,
equipment ought to be advertised over.
Right, we should spread that out over some years and not give them the full whack for all of their equipment right up front that they're gonna, get to keep using.
So will that piece of equipment be just used on this project?
Probably not, I don't know.
Probably not.
So, most of the equipment, the truck would be designated just for this. The John Deere Gator would be used for this area, just so they can pick up trash in that area. We can put a sprayer in the back. The sprayer will be parks that we are using, since we will use it on other areas. The Z-Track mower will come with a bagger, so we can bag all the grass, so we'll just use it on this area. The weed eater and blower, we would need to buy another one because we don't have an extra, but unless if I have it in their truck and no other member takes it, then it's designated for this area. I'm trying to make where everything we buy for this project is only for this project. We're not using it at any other facility.
Mr. Chairman, just a suggestion, and Jason and I had spoken a little bit earlier about this because I didn't know if there was a contract that had been formatted. One of the suggestions is if you would appoint someone from the committee, maybe two, to sit down with Jason and go over the contract, and so that, I'm sorry, Ryan. And Jason both, so that the negotiation can be done and then the contract brought back to us to sign, so that there are times and the number of times it's going to be mowed, prepared, the equipment, those things are answered for us, so that then we will have something that we can look at in a contract and maybe understand it and know what we're voting on at least. So.
Personally, I don't mind. I know it's gonna be a startup. I don't mind giving them $126,000 this first year. I don't, next year, I'd like to have it back to $100,000. We can talk about this for the next 3 or 4 months, and we've been on it 2 or 3 months already. And we can get back, and now we're in September, and it still looks bad. So, we can just keep going on, and we need to get this thing started. It's in spring. It needs to be done. I think we're on it today.
What's the manpower cost? Labor cost, manpower?
We're
Estimated.
looking at one gentleman to take care of that area. So roughly, with the salary package and all that, you're looking at $48,928.75.
Is that all he'll work on?
Yes.
There again, just a suggestion, even if we have to call for a special meeting, I would like to have a contract that we could look at that has everything outlined for us before we vote on it. And I agree, Jim, if we're going to do it, we need to go ahead and get it done. I just hesitate to look at it until we see the figures. As Charlie said, the line items weren't there, so. And that's just me, that's just a suggestion.
As far as labor and all that,
Well, I've got the email that has, actually his is probably more detailed than mine.
The only thing I didn't print out was the salary, which I have it on my email, but I have the line items, what each piece of equipment is cost quoted from United Ag, new truck from the state.
When you say truck, what kind of truck are you talking about?
Just a half-ton Ford F-150, something that can pull the trailer, that's gonna haul all the stuff, but nothing too. regular cab.
What about the clippings? What are you gonna do with the clippings? Will the truck haul the clippings?
And we'll have to take the clippings to the, put it in the trailer and take it to the dump, or we'll have to find a location to dump it off-site.
Have we discussed any watering when it gets dry?
I haven't got a quote on how much it'll take for irrigation system to be in there. That's the one thing I have not done. I didn't think about that until after the fact. My estimate is most likely it'll be 20 to 30,000 just to get an irrigation system in that area.
Well, I'd hate to vote on this and then not be able to water any of it. I mean, we have to know that they're gonna have some way to water it if they're gonna plant things there.
Are we putting any plants in there, Jason? Is there any
It's
additional?
grass.
I keep saying Jason, I'm sorry.
I'll go sit down so you're not.
Okay, so I won't be confused.
confused.
That might help me. That might help.
Not any plants, it's just taking care of what's there. All I did was figure out the cost of just keeping track of the Bermuda, making sure we fertilize, we spray for all weeds and all that. And then I also have a separate for ryegrass if we wanted to do that. There's 3 different types of ryegrass that work well in this area. And there's low, medium, and high value. And so that roughly with just the materials, you're looking at anywhere between $17,000 and $20,000 or $21,000, just depending on if we want to do ryegrass, if we don't, if we want to just keep the Bermuda and it, over the winter it dies and we just go back. And because even with ryegrass, you're at the end of August, beginning of September, you're going to have to scalp the entire area and get it down and then plant the ryegrass and fertilize. So it'll look bad for a day or two until the ryegrass starts coming in. And then it'll start rye. You'll have to mow less often than you would in the summer, but you still have to mow it probably once a week, once every other week.
And this may be John that needs to answer this one because I don't know. Does the city have the maintenance on the cloverleaf as it's coming in on the roadway, John? Or is that the ODOT?
The city does.
Okay,
The city's responsible for ODOT right-of-way within the city limits.
okay,
So, and that, right now, that's all contracted out to be brush hogged.
okay. So would this include making sure that the roadway was picked up? I know there's a lot of trash on that as you're coming in.
In that area?
Yes,
Yes,
and okay, so that would include that as well. Would there be any way that we could eventually get some patchwork done on that? I know coming in, if you're going north and you take the exit onto Main Street, that intersection is really rough.
You're talking about where you get outside of the driving lane, that at some
Well-
point we've had asphalt put down there?
Used for turn
Yeah.
lane, I mean,
Right, which is actually outside of the,
it's actually shoulder, but we use it for turn lane.
correct. So,
Can we put an overlay on that, or is that state?
I believe that's state until you get actually to us, coming off the interstate. I'll have to find out for sure, but I believe that's correct.
What would happen if we did put a little overlay on there?
Well, really, the shape that's in, is an overlay wouldn't suffice. It would need to have the base fixed in a lot of those places. So, and right there where the shoulder is that we use for a turn lane, it's really just had asphalt put on it. It hadn't had any base put in there from what I can tell. So it needs to be completely redone.
Or we have any discussion with the state about helping us out on that?
Not about that at this point, so,
Can we?
sure.
What,
I know they're gonna redo the bridge, so I don't know if they plan on doing the off-ramps at the same time or not, but I do know they plan on redoing that bridge, the one over Arkansas and the one over Maine, so.
That brings to the point that a question I always had. The culvert washed out by Carl Albert Park, and this about 3 or 4 years, this is before you got here, I think. And the city repaired it, replaced it. But I was talking to the street superintendent at the time, and he said I said, can we make that wider and put a turn lane on there? He said, no, it's controlled by the state. And I said, if it's controlled by the state and owned by the state, why are we fixing it? And I never did get
Didn't get an answer?
answer to that. I mean, if we're the one that have
fix
to
it.
take care of it, we should be able to kind of do what we want to with it.
You would think so.
Yeah.
And then the one last question I have, is there still electricity in both of those, in the clover leaves within those?
There's junction boxes out there, I know that.
There are.
Power in them.
There was conduit that ran out there because they had
I looked at it the other day, there's boxes.
Were the lights ever installed?
But you couldn't tell if there was, you couldn't tell.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any power to
When
them.
those sailboats were
Yeah.
put out there, they,
Maybe like a lot of the street lights, they're there, but they're not working.
it could be.
Yeah.
I think it's good to talk about the rest of the stuff, but we're still really just focused on the 6975 Highway 70 exit. Anything else has to be added on later on. My point of view is just to get this done, and if you like it, then add some more to it, add the other, going down the Main Street, but we don't need to, we get into this, now we're a year into it, and still talking about it, and you're coming up here every month. I'm going to focus right here where we started, and see how it comes about, and you go from there. We can just talk about everything else.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about $200,000 or $175, and if you want to do it, then I don't mind adding it for another, another $50,000. I think all of our entrances should be good, but right now, we just need to focus on this and get this going. I really think so.
I'm assuming the equipment, I mean, there's not any real specialized equipment here, a lawnmower, truck, and a gator.
Yeah, it's not
It's
specialized.
available.
The only thing that's considered specialized is the mower because it has to have the bag attachment.
Right, I mean, but
And that's the
that-
only,
that's-
yeah, as long as it's
It's
the same.
probably in stock, we don't have to order it and wait for it.
No, I say that, it's not special, we don't have to order it, but if they don't have anyone in the lot, whenever we get the okay to go for it, then we'll have to order it. But he said it shouldn't be that big of a turnaround.
Yeah, good. And what about the manpower? Do we have somebody, are you taking somebody that's on the existing payroll and putting them over there? Or are you looking to hire someone?
I would most likely hire. Right now, I don't have enough manpower just for the parks, pulling someone off of that to go to there. But, I've looked around and asked some of the guys if they're willing to move and see if they're willing to go that route. And so far, I haven't had anyone bite to say, I want to take care of that. So most likely I have to hire out.
Yeah, but your base is on, what, a 40-hour week, aren't you? Okay.
I've got a
Pretty good
question.
pay for a 40-hour week for a lot of people. It seems like you'd find somebody want to do that.
I've got a
Once we vote on
question
this,
from
how
what,
long it's going to get to where we get it started? Is it 1 month or 2 months or 3 months after we vote on this? We'll be able to start it the next day, I'm sure.
I can't honestly answer that, how fast it would take. It just depends on how long the turnaround to getting the equipment and all that. And getting someone hired on is because up until, I think last month, I was short a guy and never had anyone qualified to apply. But this might change. More people might be looking for a job right now. So it might be quicker, but I can't honestly answer that.
a question from what John said when he was talking about the clover leaves. He said those are under the highway department, but that the city maintains them.
Yes, sir.
Did I hear that right?
That's correct.
What problem will they have if we put ryegrass on there?
Well, they're not going to have a problem with it because we're the ones responsible for maintaining them.
So you don't
So-
anticipate any problem with the state?
No, sir.
This project?
No, sir.
Okay.
Will
all I need.
that be a 40-hour-a-week job to maintain just that?
You're looking at, it's over 27 acres of mowing, so, and not with a brush hog, it's with a
How much?
27 acres.
With those two clover leaves?
Yes, ma'am. And the right-of-way, the medians between University Place and 21st Street, Yeah, it all calculates out
Okay,
as
good.
27 acres. It goes all the way up to where you actually get off of the ramp. So we're covering both sides of the road,
Okay, so I
not
must
just
have,
the inside of the loop.
I must have missed. I'm,
Sure.
yeah.
Submitted a map that shows the areas that need to take care of.
Oh, and those are the ones that are highlighted in yellow?
The highlighted in red.
Yeah, they're outlined.
Okay.
Outlined in red.
Okay. This is 70. Right there, so this could go over the fly.
I mean, if you're going to do it, you shouldn't just focus on what's inside the loop. The external part counts
Yeah.
too. So,
How long have you had these emails?
It adds up.
How long you been?
They sent me this
How long you been doing
a week ago today.
How long?
A week ago today, but that map was not in there. He was brought me the map today.
Did you send Janet one or anybody one where we can see that?
Send anybody
Track
a
the week?
copy of that map?
Yeah, well,
I haven't had
email-
that map a week.
I'm talking about email that you got from him about a week ago. Is there anyone?
No, I haven't forwarded that to anybody.
Wow.
I would,
Yeah, it all adds up, I know. when you start-
Yeah.
Danny, I don't mind being on the committee, we still got to get this done.
Okay, yeah, I think
It
we
just
need to
depends
get
on
it done
what
too.
y'all want, and we give them the different, whatever they want.
Okay, I think we need to get it done too, we didn't get started.
Well, I think one thing we got to consider,
Before this next meeting goes.
yeah, one thing we got to consider though, I mean, this is a tourism authority. We're going to spend $126,000 on something that's not going to attract anybody to spend any more money into rent. I agree it needs to be done too, and it'll be pretty and it'll look good, but Frisco looks good too. There's a lot more stuff to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why are people going to stop here and we're going to spend $126,000 to mow some grass? Agree, it needs to be done, it'll look really good, and I know that's probably a very accurate budget, but
That's probably something to think about too.
I mean, I
Couldn't
don't-
even hang lights
to me, it's
down
not a
there.
wise spend on money.
That was a capital improvement. Is this
Personally.
not, I mean,
Jason said, and I am talking
I
about
definitely
Jason,
want
not
to-
Ryder this time.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
And so you
Uh,
don't think anybody else would come in here with a room like this in the wintertime, you don't think anybody else would offer up?
I don't think it's going to make anybody spend any more money in the city of Durant, no.
You don't think so?
I mean, I think it'll look good, and I think it'll, be good for us that live here, and, people that stop will say, that looks good when they stop, but I don't think it's going to make them stop, right? I mean, to me, we have to spend our money on stuff that's going to make people stop here.
come and stay and eat.
And then we have more tax dollars, and then the city can maintain it themselves when there's that much more,
They don't have the money to do it.
and that's why we need to get more tax dollars in the city. We need to bring things that are going to attract people to Durant, in my opinion. Again, I agree that it needs to be done, and if we want to spend some money on it, $126,000 to mow, that seems absurd to me.
Then if that's the case, for your reasoning, then the Choctaws should even do away with all of their acres of green grass and not even do it, just let it keep ground. Why do they do that?
That's,
Pull people off the road. You think if it's
I think
all
that
down
casino
there-
pulls
No, I think the casino just pulls people, period.
Well, but
Even the locals that don't care about any of
Put that
that.
grass out there.
Oh, well, yeah, they want it to be the best and the nicest, I get that, and we would like to be too, but,
Yeah. And
well, you Choctaw can get some of that money, help us out with this remote.
I agree, I mean, it's a very fine line, it gets really blurred, the difference between maybe capital improvements and advertising, and what gets people, what does get people to stop, I mean, yeah, they can come one time, if there's nothing to do, then they won't come again. Some people don't ever notice the grass or the paint or anything other people do.
in the last 6 months, that's what I've been hit with. And when they see people, they come up to me, now, they should be coming up to you too. But when they see, a person laying in the middle of that place with his buggy.
Well, I know, who's-
And all the time.
I don't think
I'll
we're
put it
paying
this
this
way.
guy to stop that,
I'll put
them
it this
from
way.
laying around.
Not on him, but what I'm telling you, if I come to a place like this, and they got people laying in the middle of the deal and trashed up, you know what I do? I'd probably just move on down to another city that had decent motels and had a clean city, because if you don't have a clean city, people will pay attention to that, they'll go somewhere else.
I agree.
Jim,
And
that's not
women-
gonna help our
women
homeless
more so-
problem.
No.
Women
That's-
more so than most of us guys. I mean, we may overlook it.
The women don't.
And the women don't, or a lot of them don't. And some men don't either. I mean, I notice it.
But every city has a homeless problem right now too, but I don't know how that,
A couple of
Downtown Texas,
questions.
Like that.
well,
I hadn't seen one of them that has right in the middle of it like that.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that you had had other vacancies that you had not been able to fill. What is the normal advertising period? Because this is going to have to go out as a formal job announcement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How long do you run those?
We run them until the position's filled. And
I truthfully have a real concern about that, because I'm afraid that even if we voted on it today, I know, because we're trying to fill positions as well. And I'm not going to say ours are not labor intensive, because they are, but they're not as labor intense as this would be, mowing and everything. My concern is that we do go into contract, and what if we can't find someone to fill that position? We've still got the summer months that we are basically, nothing's being done in.
But that's called speculation. We can say, we're gonna die tomorrow too, we really don't know. So, I mean, this is stuff is speculation.
Yeah, if we had a contract, we would have to shift somebody over to cover that area and make
Okay.
sure that it's done.
Okay,
because-
that's what I
because
was
we're bound by a
wanting to hear.
contract, I mean.
That's
so-
what I was wanting to hear. Well, and then the dates would be whatever the effective dates are on the contract that we decide upon, right? By both
Correct.
parties.
Our issue might be equipment availability, right? Getting the special equipment. So we don't have any control over that, but staffing-wise, we have 100% control, so.
Okay.
I agree that, this is something probably ought to be done by the city, because the city doesn't have the money to do it. I can envision us doing this, helping the city out for a year or two, for a short period of time. And ideally, I think the city should take it over and expand it. I mean, the city should put it in their budget and say, hey, instead, just a part of, but to get us kick-started, I think it's pretty good use of our money.
Well,
More so than some of these grants that we funded.
And you say it won't make an effect.
It does.
But where, this money is coming from the sales tax of 5 businessmen. That's it. Nobody else is getting charged for this 5%.
Yeah.
Know that?
Jim, are you taking that out of your pocket?
Hold on a second. Huh?
No, answer my question. Are you taking that out of your pocket?
It does cost us some business every night. People will get aggravated over $5, and if you don't believe it now, I went over to Sam's 2 days ago, and let me explain something to you here. I go, and they got a little cafeteria over there, and all this time, in the last 4 or 5 years, I'll say 2 or 3, I'll get over there at 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and there's 2 or 3 people eating, and this is what's happening now. All of a sudden, the gas is up to almost $5 a gallon. That whole place will fill up for $1, hot dogs and all that stuff. Yes, it makes a big damn difference now, because all of a sudden, you got that gas up to $5, people will chinch on hotels down the road to do that. And it does, and it makes a big difference. I'm just telling you, I think it's a good deal. And
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with it at all. That's not,
and what I'm saying is that you've got 6 motels. All your motels are sitting at that turn right there. All your motels are sitting there. That 5% came from those hotels, and it did cost them some. And so, it'd be nice to have something that looks nice in the town. When somebody comes into the front office, they're not talking to you about a homeless person sitting down there and how trashy your city is.
but that's not going to take care of it.
Would you want trash and weeds going up this high in front of Chamber of Commerce? No, you wouldn't.
No, but guess who pays for that?
Huh?
Guess who pays for that?
For what?
Getting the weeds taken care of and mowing and all that. The chamber does. They have to. And I agree with you. I think it needs to be maintained, and I think it needs to be done. But it's not going to take care of our homeless problem, because I know exactly the person that you're talking about that is underneath there. It may make it more attractive for them to want to be there, but I would like to go back to what I suggested, Mr. Chairman, appoint a couple, negotiate the contract so that we can have a contract to look at, and then these other things that we're talking about now, then we can vote on those. Right now, we don't have a contract that we can vote on.
And I'm going with you, Danny, we do this and have it set.
Okay, so we got a volunteer for one. Anybody else like to serve on this?
Cool.
Okay, all right, there we go. We got a committee of two to go with this, and do we want to try to expedite this? Or?
I think we need to expedite it for the city. If we're going to do it, we need to do
We
it.
can call a special meeting.
We can call a special meeting, correct?
Get on
Okay.
advice.
And I look at it different than you, Janet, because I think if a person is out in the million, if you have a person that's out there every day, 5 days a week, and he sees somebody you're mowing, he's gonna call them up. And you won't have to have 15 people drive by there for 2 or 3 days before he gets out of there. The person that's mowing will contact them, say, hey, we got a homeless person out there. I guarantee you they'll have that person out there.
Talk about not enough manpower. The cops just quit coming to our hotel for homeless people. Unless they've done something wrong. They will not even come to our hotel.
And the lack of manpower is the thing.
It is. And
Jim,
they're
I
working all
agree
the
with
time
you
trying to run these
totally.
people out. So they said, that's on y'all from now on. We just don't have the people to keep up with them.
I agree with you totally.
And so my little bitty front desk people run them out of the hotel, but I don't like them to. It's very dangerous, but puts them in
I think
tough
when you-
situation.
When you go through, I think the city manager will take care of it.
Do we need to set a time frame on this, Danny, so we
Yeah,
can
we
kind of look
do.
at a special meeting?
Can we get it done in a week's time?
Don't have any problem. Can you meet in a week's time?
I'm out of town the 8th, 9th, and 10th, but
Oh,
as long as it's before that, I can, that's next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so.
You bet.
So that's a week, and then we can do the special meeting right after we get back.
DIA meets on Tuesday next week.
Do we have to meet at our same time, or can we select a different time? Okay. So all we need to do then is check with, who keeps the agenda for this room, John? Cindy? Yes, ma'am. Okay. All we need to do is check with Cindy to make sure, and then we post it 48 hours, is that correct? Okay. And all we have to do is list that one agenda item on it. Okay.
Is that 48 hours of business days or 48?
Yes,
Hours
you
of calendar.
can't post it on Friday and have a meeting on Monday.
So that'd be business days, okay.
We have to vote on this committee to go look at that.
Yes, you gotta vote to appoint this committee.
Yeah, I think I had a motion. I think that's what I'd asked you.
Okay, do we have a second to this motion to appoint a committee?
I'll second it.
All right.
What's the motion?
To appoint a committee to go visit with the city on the contract.
Should we name
Well,
what
and
it is?
to set with our attorney, both parties, to go ahead and get the contract negotiated and bring it
If you're
to,
second, I'll second it.
Debbie seconded, I think.
Do we need to name them or anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and Jim Thorpe and Carl
Cool.
Cole Walker to the committee to visit with the attorney in the city on the contract beautify.
We're giving this committee the authority to negotiate for the entire authority to come up with all the terms in this thing, right? I want to be perfectly clear. Okay.
You good with it? Sounds good. Okay, roll call.
Welcome.
Trustee Anthony, yes. Trustee Calhoun?
Yes.
Trustee Shattuck?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Trustee Walker?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Chairman Shear?
Yes. Okay. Number 6 is informational items. Chamber of Commerce activity report.
Yeah, we really have got two things to talk about today with that. The other one's the third bullet point on that same informational item is about the kickoff peanut, but a couple things on the marketing and activity report.
Very happy to report back. Last month, excuse me, our big push for marketing was to get more followers onto the Discover Durant page, and I said it would be about 60 days before I'd have some tangible numbers for you, but we're outperforming our expectations, which is great. We've already picked up 142 followers, which now takes us up to just over 1,500, and that was a little over an 11% increase in just the last month. So we will continue to see a lot of spill off from that, with Magnolia Festival being this coming week. We're going to have a lot of eyes onto our social media channels, and so that's going to be thousands of more people that are going to be able to see that and tune in. The other nice part about the additional followers that we've gotten is that they are a lot more engaged. We're getting a lot more shares of our posts. So that's what we want to see. We want to see it, and it's a lot of people that are not from this area. They're people that we met at Oklahoma Travel Days, we met up in Rogers, Arkansas, that we met in just kind of being out and about, going over to Kingston to the Toyota Fishing Series. We picked up followers from, boaters and people that travel around and do bass tournaments started following us. So the people that are doing the grants, we're making it a point to be out in their events and getting pictures and sharing that on our social media, and they are in turn following and engaging with other activities we're doing too. So it's been a very nice spill off to that. And then the fun one, and there isn't a Choctaw tourism report. I know that it's not something that normally gets back here. So jumping down to the third one is the kickoff. So I had the pleasure of attending a Lions luncheon last week, and we found two characters. One, and help me out here, the city manager. I'm going to forever forget.
Paul Butts, ex-city manager.
Ex-city manager, former, yes. Himself and then Mark Swearingen both regaled us with some very humorous and historical stories about the time capsule peanut. So we've got the two of them. We're working on getting them lined up to be our big speaking for this particular kickoff concert event that we have, and your last page in your packet has this one right here. Like we'd mentioned, Kyle Dillingham, he's already been situated, squared away, Law Streets, they're ready to have us. And now all we're ready to do is just to get the people there. And so far, the way the conversation has gone is that people talk about it, we're the world's largest peanut, and then a few minutes goes by in the conversation, and then we get some folks that have been around here for a couple of years that'll share with us a little personal anecdote that they remember. And I think the ex-city manager's response was great. When he starts off his story, he's like, well, the second time that the peanut got stolen, I mean, you kind of know you're in for a good story. So if any of you have those, we would love to, because we're doing these once a month for an entire year. So the more stories, the better. So if you remember where you were at or anything significant about when it took place, we'd love to have you be a part of that. So we've got a lot of fun stuff planned for the year.
Swearingen used to have a peanut car.
Oh, did they have it through the insurance agency, or was it through, yeah? But see if they still, maybe they still have it in a shed buried out somewhere.
I don't think so, but he drove it around there a long time.
Was that, I'm guessing that's their father? Was that, I only know Mark and Matt. Mark and Matt are the two, the Swearingens.
It was Mark.
Okay.
One time when they had
He is a good storyteller. That guy, he's a good storyteller. I'm looking forward to hearing him.
Yeah.
So, but with that being said, that is kind of the extent of my marketing report, unless you guys have any specific questions. But marketing-wise for Discover Durant channel is looking really good, considering the growth is far outpaced our level of activity out there, and we're still doing everything organic, so we've not incurred any expense to do any of this, and we're still seeing phenomenal growth.
Well, everybody's trying to get out this year because of COVID.
Yeah, that's...
They booked up for about 2 years, and they want out.
Yeah, and more people are road tripping. I mean, it's just, airfare is really expensive, location, destination cost, food cost, all those things are expensive. So road tripping is very popular, and one thing I have definitely keyed in on is that Durant is a very road trip friendly city.
This is not have anything to do with that, but would it be something of value to us if we had a separate phone for the ladies to answer over there to the chamber that would answer for the tourism?
We're actually, Charlie, we're working on that, an individual line with the remodel that we've gotten. We've barely got phones right now, to be honest with you, but we do have a free line that we can do that. The only thing that I hesitate with is because that number is printed on so many things, that phone number, which is the chamber's phone number. So what I would like to see is that call-in can roll over from that number to a designated line.
Should we have a different number for the tourism?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I really don't. But there again, I still think that you're going to find that 60 to 70% of the calls are going to come through the chamber anyway. A lot of it is convenience for people when they start Googling and tourism in the area. And I'm not referring to Durant, but other areas as well. Their chamber will nearly always come up unless they have a designated CVB. But you nearly have to type in CVB, Convention Visitors Bureau. And if you do, then that will come up. But if you're just wanting information about an area, just try it. Just go in and Google tourism in a region. And 9 times out of 10, the chamber is one that's going to come up.
I also think it's worth noting that I would say 70 to 80% of the people that do call are from a demographic that are more inclined to look at a chamber as their source of information, just because that's traditionally what they've looked for. Most people in that younger demographic, they're calling because they couldn't get an answer to like when a festival starts or where the location of this concert's at. Like, they generally have done all their research online ahead of time.
We're spending money, quite a bit of it, to advertise that number, and I just,
See, I thought that was in the contract when we first started this 4 years ago. That
It does have a designated
that
line.
the Tourism Authority would have their own number, and it's never happened.
It does have a designated line. It defines it as a designated line.
Yeah.
But we can get a different number if that's what you guys want.
well, it just seems like that it would be easier for you all.
The same people would be answering both
Yeah.
lines.
We've got 4 lines coming in right now that roll over. So, but if we had a designated line, the only thing that would be able to determine are the number of calls that are coming from that line directly in, if we had a different number, which we could easily do with any of the lines that we've got. But keep in mind, when you do that, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be that 924, 920, or the 745 code.
And you have another monthly expense to incur as well for that phone line.
No.
That would be us.
Yeah, that would, it was in the, it's
Gotcha.
on our package that we got, but we would have to use that designated line, like the 916-284-4568, that comes in directly to mine from all the telemarketers. Those are the numbers that we would have to list.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to be an out of area code digit.
Gotcha.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a Tulsa number, the 918 or the 405, which is Oklahoma City. So, but we can do that. I mean, we can do
Well,
that.
that's it.
We have a
I don't know what
designated,
everybody else thinks about it.
we have a designated office for tourism. We don't have any designated offices really at this time or point, but we do have an office for tourism. And we're going to have that placed on the door as soon as we are ready with the remodel and getting everything done. But we can do that. We have the capability with the phone system that we've got. I just want you to be aware that it's not going to be a 924, 920, or 745 digit, because they don't do those anymore.
I think you should have your own designated line going forward.
Okay.
I agree with Charlie.
Well, you're going to have to give me a couple of months until I can get Vibe in there to do it.
Yeah, you're not
And we
even
will
back
get
in
that
it yet,
done.
so this works perfectly, the timing, I think, with your remodel, so I
Right.
think we should go ahead.
Well, it's been in the contract, if it's in the contract, you ought to have it.
It's a designated line, not a number, but a line. So, but we can do that. Okay.
Do we have any new business? I've got something. The sign that's out in the median where the
Event sign?
event sign,
Uh-huh.
Can that be moved someplace else?
I wish it could.
Those are not, you can't read that. It needs to be someplace where there's walking traffic or standing.
I think we actually need to look at doing a totally different sign. I don't know what, but if you remember when we first started with that, we had 4 locations in the community that the then present city manager, because he was the one that brought that to us, the event signage. And there was one at First and 48, where you're coming in that way. There was one off of 9th Street, and then the one in the median where that one is located, and one other one.
There's one cut off that Main Street, off the highway, right?
Uh-huh.
You already mentioned that?
Yeah, that was one, but there were 4, and we had actually voted to fund all 4 of those. We wanted to get this one up first, so we did, and I think your reaction is about the reaction that we've all had to it.
Trying to get 50 gallons worth of stuff in a 1 gallon bucket.
What it was is 1980 technology, when we would have really thought about it enough, it would have been electronic.
But the problem with the electronic is, Jim, I don't think any of those medians have electric that's there.
Not only that, is that even with electronics, it pull you out of the road and cause more crashes.
Well, and it has to be safe wherever we approve area.
So we can't move that to someplace downtown or something? Are we selling the spots? I mean,
We do sell it to people that have not gotten grants. The grants now come with that. If we do a grant, we place the signs up there. If in fact they have an event and they want to place a magnet on, they're out the expense themselves, and it goes back into the account.
I don't have any place in mind that'd be good.
I think it needs to be, I think it does need to be looked at, because we've talked about that several times. I think it's off.
Place that down because everybody comes from Walmart. Now, about the only thing you could do is add to that is to get more money off of it. There'd probably be businesses in town, we've never did this before, but there's businesses in town would probably like to advertise on that.
It's not big enough. You can't, when you drive down the street, you can't read it. You know, I can't tell you. I've looked at it and I can't tell you what's on there.
Now, could I make a suggestion on that? What we could do to maybe salvage that is that those dimensions are only, it's all metal. So the dimensions of the signs, like right now, there's a spot in there for 5 signs. We could take that space and make the magnet signage into either 1 or 2, maybe 2. That way you could have like 2.5 of those magnets and 2.5 of those magnets to be.
I'm not even sure that doing the whole space would.
I agree.
But you could do that on that surface area and we would just have to reshape the sign to whatever we want it to be. So we can test that out and.
We could, but, I mean, we could definitely talk about moving it to another location. So let us work on that
What
and
would be a
see.
better location?
I don't know, Jim. I tell you, the best location is when we had at 9th and Main, where you're coming into the city and you have the stoplight there.
At Landmark.
Simmons. Yeah, at Simmons,
Yeah.
what is now Simmons, we had a banner, the chamber did, and we owned the banner. Well, when Landmark started redoing everything, they were gonna put up the digital sign, and they asked us to remove those, which I'll be honest, it was a pain to deal with because we had people continually. But Frank Deal from the casino, he said, I would pay more money to advertise on that corner than any place else.
Oh, well, and he knows.
And so it's a very good spot to advertise anything. But now the city does have a right of way, but I don't think with safety issues that a sign like that could go up there. I don't.
If you got far enough away from the corner itself, you would be able to.
You would? Well, I don't know how far their right of way is though, Charlie, the city's right
Well,
of
it
way.
goes back, it doesn't go at that point. It doesn't go
4 or
back
5
too
feet.
far. It goes back about where the lights are.
Mhm.
That's about what the right of way is on both sides. If you'll look when you're driving down Main Street, out in the residential area, you'll see that the lights are set back off of the street. And that's approximately
Where the right-of-way begins, okay, okay. So, but Danny, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I'm not,
I mean, I think it's just wasted effort.
well, I think
Where it is.
there are people that have learned to look on that for events that are in the community, but we could definitely look at moving it to a different location to see if maybe it would be more noticeable someplace.
Do that, or just take 2 spots and make it 1 spot. Give it more signage. Well, we have 5 now,
We have 5, space for 5.
make it into 2 or 3.
We could try it and see.
I mean, it's better to try that than just put it up
I
down there.
think 2, 1, you might be able to get the lettering big enough, but putting 2 in there.
We'll get the
I think that's
dimensions.
improvement.
We'll get the dimensions on, we can try 4 on there, 2 on each side, or, well, actually, it'd just be 2. Let us get the dimensions and talk to Sign Depot, because they're the ones that make the signs for us. And I'll talk to him about removing that and seeing if we could place it someplace. We may want to look at just different
The bigger
signage.
that sign, the heavier the sign. It is magnet, so if we make that thing too large, it becomes.
Too weighted.
Yeah, and then Sign Depot, well, it's, I guess Sign Depot would have to come out and install it and,
Yeah.
yeah. That might be a little too cumbersome to make something that's that rectangularly shaped, that long, that heavy. That'd be my
Well,
only
it's all
concern.
magnetic, it's all one piece, and it's just like that it's be the same.
We can certainly talk to him and see what we can do.
Where we at? Choctaws? Has Choctaws made
Yeah,
this?
we got new business now, we got any more new business?
On business?
New business.
New business, yes.
Do you have any new business?
Sure, or it was old business, but it's still new right now.
Okay, what is it?
We just need an update on the 3-feather monument.
Oh,
I don't have that. I wish I
They said
did.
It's gonna try to be in April, didn't
There's our manager right there. I bet
they? Oh,
he
he's the
can.
boss.
Came back right in time.
You certainly did.
We're looking at the 3-feathers.
What about the monument, John? I think you reported on that last month, didn't you?
Yeah, I did report. They started to drill the holes today to put the base. They got about 3 foot on one, and they got about 6 foot on the other, so we got
they
to,
do hit rock?
yes, sir.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
So we contacted the structural engineers, and so they're going to have to redesign a new plan. So, but yeah, they started drilling today.
Do we not blast through the rock or drill through the rock?
We're going to see.
Okay.
So,
You know,
but
when they-
the drilling company said they couldn't get through there, so
When they put
whatever.
the pool in out there, they had to use dynamite to get a hole in there.
There's got to be a different way, so,
That might,
Yeah.
I don't know, that might be down your alley. In your building.
we can do some, yeah, we can do some dirt if we want to. But,
Did you get to play with a little C4 and whatnot back in your day in the military?
yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, actually with a little diesel and some dynamite and never mind, so, yeah, we can make a big hole there if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We think we're still a month or 2 away.
Plain too.
We're probably at least a month or 2 away now. We were hoping to have it up in June. That was the goal. But that's probably not going to happen based on what we ran into today, so. But we're ready. I mean, the company's ready. They got them ready to start putting in and putting all the, whatever they're called on.
On
So-
Grand Opening, we'll have some of their dancers and different things.
I'm not sure what they'll have, but I do know they'll participate, so. Yes, sir. I'm not working on that part of it.
Thank goodness.
If they ask you to dance, you'll dance with them?
Sure.
Danny, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Project you go talk.
I gotta go.
Right,
about.
I might dance.
We do have
Adjourn, okay, we got a second.
We do have a voters education forum this evening at the library beginning at 6 o'clock, and we do have some of the candidates that will be speaking as well on their
This-
forum, so you guys are all invited.
6 o'clock at the library?
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
Roll call. Trustee Anthony, yes. Trustee Calhoun?
Yes.
Trustee Shattuck?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe? Trustee Walker? Vice Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Chairman Shear?
Yes. John?
Yes, sir.